So last time we took our time to understand mode, where we saw how to find the mode of data type 3, and we said that the mode is the item or the class with the greatest frequency, right? Now this time we are going to look at the median, but the median we had a taste of it before when we look at data type 1, how to find the median for data type 1, data type 2 too. And basically median is just focused on understanding, getting the item that falls at them in the middle of the data set. So if you arrange the data set in a particular order, what item is found in the middle of it, that's what we look at calling as the median, right? So with the type 3, there's also an approach to do that, and that's what we are going to look into. So we have the example from the previous session, which is this one. We used this data to understand mode the previous time. So how do we find the median? Trying to find the median value. So there are some specific items that we need to fetch, or there are some specific items that we need to get in order to find this particular data set. What are those items? So first we have the total frequency. Um, yeah, so we have the total frequency, which is our F, and then total frequency here in this case is the total here, right? So we have 50. But then we are looking for the median item. If it were the other data set, what we did for this frequency is that we have it. We put it at we have it and trying to look at the items that for other for half item, right? So what we'll do in this time is that we still always have it because we are still looking for the median or the median value via the frequency. So if you find half of the frequency, if you have half of the frequency, we are going to have 25, right? So we are going to look for the 25th item. So you don't count from the class, but you count from the frequency. Are we okay? So what we said is that um in the previous session, you take the 25 to enter and be subtracting until you get to 0. So when you get to 0, that's where your median class is, because here we are not going, I wanted to say median item, but it's going to be median class because we are focusing on the class this time. So we enter the first one with 25, right? So 25 minus 4, before you go to the next one, it's going to be at 21, right? And then 21 minus 4 is going to give us what? 17. And then 17 minus 6, we are going to get 11. 11 minus 11 minus 6, this 6, second 6, we are going to get 5, right? And then now 5 minus 8, you see that 8 is already greater than this. So definitely all the 5 will be exhausted here. Then we'll definitely get 0 here. We'll get 0 here. So we'll stop at over here because all the 5 that we have, all the number that we are bringing up, they were exhausted. And when we go to 8, 5 minus 8, so we definitely all the 8 will swallow all the 5, all our remaining number or remaining value. Right? So that we find our 0 item here. So this frequency that we found led us to the median class. So our median class, this is our median class, is 40 to 49. We said in the previous time that we are not uh, focusing on the class. We are looking for the single item in that class, right? So there's a range of items and not all the items are represented. So we need to find one particular item. That's how we find the mode. For the median, we need one particular value. So the first case is that we took the data frequency. Because we are looking for the median value, we need to have the frequency to get 25. Now that 25 will help us to go direct us to the item that will be the class. Sorry, the class that will be dealing with that class item, right? So when we did that, we see that we stop over here because at this point we can go further because all the 8 will swallow all our 5, so we left with 0. So our median class is at this level. So 40 minus 45 will be 40 minus 49 will be our median class. Are you okay? Yeah. So yeah, so from there we need to find a particular item. Just like how we did it for the mode, where we try to focus, they do it in a way that there was a particular fraction of the class size that was used to add to the lower class boundary. The same thing is going to happen here. So we know we need to find the lower class boundary as well, right? Lower class boundary is a term that we have explained in previous sessions, so kindly watch that, and also watch the mode video, the previous one, so that you can follow up on this one, because it's similar, right? So lower class boundary, in this case, so the class before is 39 and the class after is 40. The difference between that is 1. If I have that 39 and 41, the difference is 1. If I have that, I'll get 0.5. So I'll just basically remove 40 minus 0.5, that will be 39.5. So we did a session on how to find the lower class boundary. Kindly follow that. So we have the lower class boundary. So we are trying to find the median, right? It's the same thing. So we need to find lower class boundary plus a, a proportion, right? A proportion of the class size. Remember that from the mode class, from the class size. So there will be a proportion here. So there will be a proportion P here. So we need to find that proportion times the modal class, the modal class size. The class size, we talk about how to find it also. We also had a video on how to find the lower class boundary, how to find the various class sizes in the different ways. Here we are dealing with class limit, so it's going to be 49 minus 40 plus 1. So when we do that, we are going to have 10. Then the class size is 10, so our C is equal to 10. Right, so now how do we find this proportion that we use to multiply the class size in order to add to the lower class boundary and find the item? Okay, so basically for this proportion, it's not going to be changing one like how we did it before, but then here is going to be a bit different. So for this proportion is going to be equal to the half of the frequency that you found, right? So let me call it the half of the frequency that you found, right? Minus the sum of all frequencies, right, before that class. Sum of all frequency before that class. So I will call it sigma FL. L for lower. So it's the sum of all frequencies of the lower classes. So if you look at our class here, our median class is 40 to 49. But then the frequency of this particular class is just 8. But the frequency of all the classes before our median class, that's what we are talking about. The sum of all that is 6 plus 6 plus 4 plus 4, right? Like about 20. Yes, so that's what we are referring to as the sum of all the frequency of the lower classes. When you are done with that, you now divide it by the frequency of the current class, of the median class that you are on. In this case, our median class frequency is 8. This is how to find that proportion that we use to multiply the C, right? So that proportion is just basically half of the frequency that you have, because half of the frequency, total frequency is all, but we are looking for the middle value. So half of it will lead you to the middle value. But you need to subtract all the frequencies of the classes before your median class, which is the ones up here, and then you now divide whatever you get at the numerator by the median class, by the frequency of the median class. In this case, is 8, right? That will be the proportion here. So let's actually find the values actually. So we have the median will be equal to lower class boundary plus a proportion times C. So we got C, we say C is 10, and we got what? The lower class boundary, which is 39.5. The proportion is what we need to evaluate. So we say the proportion is what? Half of the frequency that we find here, which is 25, minus the sum of all frequencies before. So that's let me just do it 1 by 6 plus 6 plus 4 plus 4. So what I'm doing is I'm summing all these frequencies. This is the classes before. So when they are frequencies, 6 plus 6 plus 4 plus 4. That's what I'm doing. Then we divide that by the frequency of the median class, the actual median class. Here is 8. So I have it as 8 over here. At the end of the day, I have 25 minus 20 all over 8. That's the proportion that I have here. Let me clean this side that we can continue from there. So if you do the 20 minus 25, 25 minus 20 all over 8, what do you have? Yeah, so now our P is, we now have 5 over 8, right? That's our proportion. So now we come to the formula again. So we replace the values, right? So we know the median is equal to lower class boundary, which is 39.5 plus proportion. What proportion do we have? Is 5/8, right? Times the class size, which is what? 10. So if you multiply this, let me clean this. If you multiply all this proportionality we are talking about, we did in the previous session. So yeah, so 39.5 plus, so 5/8, right? This one 5, 4, right? Then 25/4, that will be 25/4. Then let's just evaluate that. Then we have 6.25, 6.25. Then when you add these to 7, then you have 45.75. So 45.75, this is our median class. This is our median, the median of the for the data sets. You see that the median falls within the median class, right? 40 to 49, but we had what? 45.75. You need to make sure that your final result is within that range. If it doesn't fall, then meaning there's an issue with your calculation of whatever you did. So yeah, we have 45.75 for our case. Yeah, basically I've been advising you since the beginning to, if it is not mentioned, stop at 2 decimal place to be safe. Don't try first decimal place unless it has been stated, or even whole number unless it has been stated. But basically stop at 2 decimal place, right? So let me quickly go over to find the median, right? We do the same thing as if you are finding the mode. So we find the lower class boundary plus a proportion multiplied by the class size, and then we say the proportion is what? The half of the frequency. Half of the frequency will lead you to the median minus the sum of all frequencies of the lower classes divided by the frequency of the median class. That's the proportion. So you find that proportion, then multiply by the class size, then you'll be able to find your value. Yes, that's how to find the median for data type 3. Basically this formula. Yeah, I understand when to use it so you don't get confused with finding the mode and median. Yeah, we did the mode and we solve an exercise, a particular question on that to solidify the concept. We do the same thing for median. So in the next session, we'll be talking about, we will be solving a particular question on another question which will not be the same here, to handle how to calculate median of data type 3. I hope to see you in the next session so that we solidify this concept.